Welcome back, Herminators, to Herminating the Meta. Ever since GvG came out, a lot of people have been building new decks hoping to herminate the meta with, but only some survived and reached legend rank. With that said, I'll be wrapping up the month with my top 5 decks of the season since GvG released. I would also like to thank everyone who subscribed to me lately because it means a lot to me and keeps me motivated to make more quality videos. For the people who haven't subscribed to me yet, please subscribe if you enjoyed my videos, as it will keep you updated for my future content. Without much ado, let's begin with my top 5 decks of the season. I gotta say, number 5 has to go to D2's Mech Druid. This Mech Druid is so damn good in the ladder because it runs very sticky mechs and other minions that are really hard to move from the board, either because the creature has high health or they have a death rattle that spawns another creature. You can use these minions to push for damage to eventually use the Force of Nature and Savage War combo for the win. This is so freaking devastating for your opponent because if your opponent doesn't remove those minions in time, you'll be doing over at least 20 damage to the face with the combo. Sometimes you don't even need Force of Nature and just Savage War is enough for you if you have enough bodies on the board. That's not all, because the Druid can push out these creatures pretty damn fast with cards like Innervate and Wild Growth, which further strengthens your board. Let's not forget about Swipe and Wrath, that helps to control the board as well. This deck sounds like it's unbeatable, so why the heck is it rank 5 on my list, right? Well, this deck really sucks if you lose board control, especially against control matchups. Unlike the Ramp Druid, we gave up the late game for the lower curve, so if control matchups take control over the board early, then you're pretty damn screwed. Number 4 will go to GameSBonds' Handlock. Just to let you guys know, I'm using Trump's footage because I don't technically have the cards for this deck. I know, it's sad. So this deck in the past gets pretty screwed over by a lot of aggro decks just because this deck always play at such a low health from tapping too much. Well, I guess you can't blame it because a deck needs to tap to synergize cards like Molten Giants, Mountain Giants, and Twilight Drakes. But after the GvG release though, this deck got such a huge freaking upgrade. The deck heals more now with Antique Heal Bond and fends off early aggression with Ogre Brute. Now the deck can really cockblock a lot of aggro decks from pushing for lethal. Now that the deck can really slow down the game, it can literally wreck you with their Giants and Jiraxes. Oh yeah, and the Recombobulator? I don't even know if I'm saying this right, is there to technically heal up the deck's big creatures. Like if I recombobulate, I don't even know if that's a word, a Molten Giant, I get another one that is fully healed. This deck is really damn troll and definitely harder to beat now. Well, since this deck is so good, why isn't it higher on my list, right? Well, for one, I don't own this deck because it's so damn expensive, which is one of the reasons why it is so low. Another reason is that this deck is so very prone to burst damage from rogues and also to aggro matchups like Zoo and Face Hunter. Imagine if you don't have the answers for these matchups, you're still pretty screwed and the deck itself is still pretty damn slow enough for aggro matchups to deal tons of damage to. Strifecrow's Mech Mage is my number 3. I think in this season the mages are out for blood for being nerfed so much because they are really herminating the meta right now because I freaking see them everywhere. This Mech Mage takes on a lower curve that's similar to the Zoo where they swarm the board and hit you in the face with them. And when you're low enough, they just slam you with fireballs and frostbolts at your face until you die. Yep, that is actually pretty much it. Not even. The mechs that they swarm aren't even easy to deal with either because they are really bulky like Spider Tank and Mechanical Yetis, or these cards can even be comboed with Goblin Blast Mage and Tinkertown Technician to piss you off even further. Goblin Blast Mage will literally wipe out your field with that 4 random damage, and Tinkertown Technician is just a 3-drop for 4/4. Don't even say that they require a mech because there is no way in hell they can't summon one. Oh yeah, and I forgot to tell you, the deck runs the best 7-drop in the game, which is Dr. Boom, which is literally a 7-drop for 9/9. So this deck sounds pretty devastating, so why is it number 3? This deck literally loses to self-healing classes like Warrior and Priest. That's not all, because these two classes has a lot of cheap removal to keep the board control in their favor, so if you ever come across them, you're going to have a freaking long game. The number 2 spot will be for Kit Kat's Control Warrior. I guess everyone expected this deck to be ranked somewhere pretty high up on the list, cause who wouldn't? This is one of the decks you would most likely want to avoid unless you're running Zoo or the Mirror matchup. Not because it is a hard matchup, it's because it's going to be a pretty damn long game. Jokes. This matchup is actually pretty damn hard, so I'm warning you right now. So we know the Control Warrior has a bunch of removals with their weapons and spells like Execute and Shield Slams installed to late game and eventually smash you with Grow Mosh most of the time. Well, GvG made this deck even crazier with just Shield Maiden and Dr. Boom. Like, I know, the Control Warrior only took 2 cards from the GvG set and is still so good. Well, there is a quote saying that why change something if it works, right? Shield Maiden just makes the warrior harder to die and gives them more self-healing because it's just like a shield block on crack that can be comboed with Shield Slam and giving you a 5/5 body at the same time. And Dr. Boom is just an insane 7-drop that gives too much value for its own good. Like, come on, it gives you 2 bombs with a 7/7 body and the bomb does damage only to your enemy minions when it dies. This deck is ranked so high on my list because I can only see it losing to Zoo and maybe other control matchups from time to time. So, the long-awaited number 1 would be the Sea Giant Zoo deck. So we all know what the Zoo deck is, and we all know that it is a deck that's pretty damn hard to beat as it overwhelms many of us with a bunch of low-cost creatures that can potentially take the game away from us before turn 5. I know this leaves a pretty salty feeling to all of us when losing to this deck. But after the GvG release, we thought the nerf from Soulfire would be the end of Zoo, but the addition of Implosion took it to the next level. So the normal Zoo deck swarmed so hard already, but never really hard enough to summon a Sea Giant efficiently, so we never really added it to the deck. Now with the help of Implosion being an efficient removal card and also swarming the board at the same time, you can literally summon Sea Giant with a snap of a finger. This is pretty fucking disgusting and insane because now Zoo potentially has another finisher other than Doomguard. It is an 8/8 that can potentially be summoned before turn 5 because now the meta consists with so many aggro decks that everyone swarms the board now. So this deck is number 1 because it literally has no real weaknesses. I guess you can beat this deck if you have a pretty nice hand with some pretty nice early removals that can answer almost everything the Zoo brings out on the table. But other than that, this deck is pretty damn overpowered. This is my top 5 decks of the season, but let me know what your top 5 decks of the season is by leaving a comment below. See you guys on my next video and don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this video.